Mercy wiped the sweat off her forehead as she rushed into the hotel lobby. She was 10 minutes late, and she knew her boss, Mr. Benson, would not hesitate to scold her. Life had never been easy for her, but she was determined to hold on to this job. It was the only way she could keep a roof over her sick mother's head. As she settled behind the reception desk, trying to steady her breath, she noticed an old man standing near the entrance. He was dressed in worn-out clothes, his shoes barely holding together, and his hands trembled slightly as he held onto a wooden cane. His face looked tired, his eyes weary, yet there was something gentle about him. Other employees passed by without sparing him a glance, and some guests wrinkled their noses at him. Mercy frowned. She hated how people judged others based on appearance. With a kind smile, she approached him. "Sir, are you okay? Do you need help?" The old man turned to her, his lips parting in surprise. I just need a place to rest for a while," he said softly, his voice weak. "I don't have much money." Mercy glanced at the expensive leather chairs in the lobby, but she knew the manager would never allow a man like him to sit there. She bit her lip, thinking quickly. "Come with me," she said, guiding him toward a small waiting area at the back of the hotel, away from prying eyes. She pulled out a bottle of water from her bag and handed it to him. "Here, drink this. You look exhausted." The old man's eyes glistened with gratitude. "You are very kind," he murmured, taking a sip. "What is your name, young lady?" "Mercy," she replied with a gentle smile. "And you?" The old man hesitated for a moment before answering. "You can call me Grandpa Joe." Mercy nodded. "It's nice to meet you, Grandpa Joe. Do you have anywhere to stay tonight?" He sighed, his shoulders slumping. "Not really. But I will figure something out." Mercy's heart ached for him. She had little to offer, but she couldn't just leave him like this. "Wait here. I'll be right back," she said, hurrying off before he could protest. Little did she know, the man she had just offered kindness to was not who he seemed. The billionaire who owned the hotel sat there, watching her, his heart pounding with emotions he hadn't felt in years. Mercy rushed to the staff quarters, searching through her small locker. She grabbed the only thing she could offer, a spare sandwich she had packed for lunch. It wasn't much, but at least Grandpa Joe wouldn't go to bed hungry. When she returned, she found him staring out the window, lost in thought. "Here, Grandpa Joe. It's not fancy, but it's something to keep you going." His hands trembled as he took the sandwich. "You didn't have to do this, child." Mercy smiled. "I wanted to. You remind me of my father before he passed away. He was a kind man, just like you." Grandpa Joe's eyes softened. "Your father must have been very lucky to have a daughter like you." Before Mercy could respond, a sharp voice rang through the air. "Mercy. What are you doing?" She turned to see Mr. Benson storming toward them, his face red with anger. "Why are you wasting time with this beggar? Do you think this is a charity home?" Mercy's heart pounded. "Sir, he's just tired. He needed a place to rest." "I don't care," Mr. Benson snapped. "Get back to your desk before I fire you. And you," he turned to Grandpa Joe. "Get out before I call security." Mercy felt her stomach twist. She wanted to protest, but she knew arguing would cost her job. She glanced at Grandpa Joe, her eyes pleading with him to stay calm. But to her surprise, the old man slowly rose to his feet, a strange look in his eyes. He nodded at Mercy before turning to Mr. Benson. "You have a very interesting way of treating people, young man," he said in a low, steady voice. Mr. Benson scoffed. "Just leave already." Grandpa Joe gave Mercy one last glance before walking away, disappearing into the night. Mercy swallowed back tears, feeling helpless. But what she didn't know was that Grandpa Joe wasn't leaving for good. And the next time they met, the entire hotel would never be the same again. The following morning, the hotel was in chaos. Staff members whispered amongst themselves, their faces pale with shock. Mercy had just arrived for her shift when she noticed the unusual tension in the air. "What's going on?" she asked one of her colleagues, Lucy. Lucy's eyes were wide with disbelief. The owner of the hotel is here. And guess what? He fired Mr. Benson. Mercy blinked in surprise. The owner. But I thought he never visits. Lucy nodded frantically. That's the thing. No one has ever seen him before. But he showed up this morning and demanded a staff meeting. And Mercy, you won't believe who he is. Before Mercy could respond, a deep voice echoed through the lobby. Everyone, gather around. The staff quickly assembled near the reception desk. Mercy's heart pounded as she turned to face the man standing in the center of the room. Her breath caught in her throat. Grandpa Joe. But he was no longer the frail, weary man she had met the night before. Dressed in an expensive tailored suit, his silver hair neatly combed, and his piercing eyes filled with authority, he exuded power. He was not just a homeless old man, he was the billionaire owner of the hotel. Gasps filled the air as realization dawned on everyone. Mr. Benson, who had been standing nearby, stammered in shock. Yes, sir, I didn't know. Grandpa Joe, now revealed as Mr. Joseph Harrington, the reclusive billionaire, held up a hand, silencing him. You treated me like that because I looked poor. You had no kindness, no patience. And you did it in front of your staff. That is not the kind of leadership I want in my hotel. You're fired. Mr. Benson's face turned ghostly white as security escorted him out. Mercy stood frozen, her mind racing. Joseph Harrington turned to her, his expression softening. Mercy, you showed kindness when no one else did. You gave me water, food, and respect. And for that, I am deeply grateful. Tears welled in Mercy's eyes as she struggled to process everything. From this day forward, Joseph continued, you will no longer be a receptionist. You are now the manager of this hotel. Mercy's eyes widened in disbelief. Yes, sir, I don't know what to say. He smiled warmly. Just say yes. You earned this. As applause erupted around her, Mercy realized that a single act of kindness had changed her life forever. Mercy sat in her new office, still overwhelmed by the turn of events. The luxurious furniture, the large mahogany desk, and the breathtaking view of the city through the glass windows all seemed like a dream. Just yesterday, she had been a struggling receptionist. Now, she was the manager of one of the most prestigious hotels in the city. A knock at the door startled her. Come in, she called, still trying to adjust to her new reality. The door opened, and Joseph Harrington stepped inside, his warm smile never fading. How does it feel? Mercy took a deep breath, shaking her head in disbelief. Unreal, sir. I don't know how to thank you. He chuckled. Just keep being the kind person you are. That's all the thanks I need.